Today on The Occult Detective, we're going to talk about Doctor Strange. Some of you may recall, some of you of a certain age anyway, Doctor Strange had destroyed all vampires, which to me was a terrible disservice. As someone who loved the Tomb of Dracula, having Doctor Strange destroy Dracula and all other vampires was just, a terrible misstep on Marvel's part. A few years later, however, Roy and Dann Thomas, husband and wife team, along with artist Butch, Guice, came up with a 5-part series called The Vampiric Verses, which I'm going to share with you today. Now, these comics, here's part 1. Part 2. Part 3, love that cover. Part 4. And the finale, part 5. This series was very hit and miss for me. The artwork at times was brilliant, other times somewhat less so, but I always appreciated Jackson Guice's artwork. Love his Clea. The story follows Doctor Strange, whose brother is deceased, and he's been in cryogenics, and he attempts to cast a spell to bring his brother back from the dead, and he's tapping into ancient languages that he doesn't understand, and among these is the Vampiric Verses, which turns his brother into a vampire, and Victor, and he spreads the vampiric curse throughout the Marvel verse once more, which is a good thing. Nice to have vampires back. Probably the biggest event, however, had nothing to do with the comic at all. Certainly not the storyline, but dealt more with this cover. This produced a huge lawsuit because Butch, Guice drew Christian superstar Amy Grant on the cover, and she sued over this. And so now things look more like this. Which is a shame. This is a fine cover. Not the strongest of the 5, but still, it was very evocative. As a storyline overall, the writing it's actually the smaller moments in the book that work for me, and I think that's largely Dann Thomas's influence. Roy bringing her on board, the interactions between the female characters with their male counterparts is just so well done. It's so nuanced, and it's those little moments that really make the book worth revisiting. And so I was a big Doctor Strange fan in the 70s. These issues came out in 1990. So right about the time the Image was kind of taking off. And so, Marvel was in a state of trying to shake things up. And on most books, they were looking to younger, newer voices. And with Doctor Strange, then bringing on seasoned veterans to try to revitalize Doctor Strange it worked in a lot of ways, in other ways not so much. But right after the Vampiric versus storyline, we had a Gene Colan guest appearance, and I mean, Colan is just a master. Again, this was written by Roy and Dann. But looking at this issue, and as I was revisiting these, just out of curiosity to see if they held up, I only had issues 14 through 19, so this was a book I didn't remember, but boy, am I glad that it was there in the collection, because Gene Colan is just a beast. There's a reason why Tomb of Dracula is one of my favorite comics, and you can see it right on this page alone. Tremendous. Would I recommend the 1990 version of Doctor Strange? Absolutely. Even at when it's not firing on all cylinders, it's still better than most books that were being put out in that time period. And yeah, Vampiric Versus was a lot of fun. And like I said, some of the big moments don't hit, but my goodness, for all those little moments are well worth the price of admission. So if you can run across these, I definitely recommend picking them up. I believe there's an Epic Collection trade that you can grab that has those and several other issues all combined. So, all right, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for stopping in. We'll talk again real soon.